I once was on, maybe I did it twice, but I did Red Eye a couple of times in New York back in the day. Gutfeld used to host that show, and his producer. I've only met one person in my life in business more miserable than his producer. Like bitter, weirdly, like it's like being around a sociopath. It was just miserable. And it was both, like both times I've run into the guy at Fox Studios back in the day, that he was just fucking just sour, just a sour human being. And the only other person I've ever met that was even on par with that was Ashton Kutcher's producing partner on Punk'd. Good Lord. Anyways, but same kind of miserable, just mean and miserable all the fucking time. And largely maybe because they had the same job, which was just try to upset people for a living. That's the gig. And Gutfeld, though, at that point, it was sort of a late afternoon or I guess a midnight show. We taped it in the afternoon, but it was like a midnight show that they put on. And it reeked of kind of just morning zoo shit. And at some point, they decided, they've got to, create some sort of like panel show with their own people. And Gutfeld would be the driving force behind it. And I thought, in my naivete about this, I thought there would at least be a focus on making him funnier. Like he would have some writers and they would craft some stuff, and they would really make an effort to be like the right-wing Daily Show as far as his monologues and his bits. And since that last one we played, I've watched like one other clip of theirs, and it is the same miserable shit every time. I shouldn't be surprised that the jokes are as bad as they are, but they're terrible. And it's one thing to like off the cuff, you're joking around and some stuff doesn't land and that's just life. But you can tell from the pile of paper in front of him from last time when we did that other clip that he puts that shit, like he's like, this'll do it. Like he thinks that he's done the work and that this is the reliable stuff. Of the 10 or 15 things we were spitballing, this is the shit. And I have no doubt there's some similarities here. So let's take it. This is called The 5 Talks the Release of Trump Raid Search Warrant. Talks the release of Trump Raid Search Warrant. Don't get my hopes up. The 5 hilarious commentary on the bogus Trump search. They're not even trying. Look at that. The 5 Talks the Release of Trump Raid Search Warrant. Why don't you just put a piece of bread there and stare at it? All right.
Details coming in after a judge released the FBI search warrant.
Oh, it's Bongino.
The raid on Trump's home.
Bongholio, who is looking for a teepee for his bunghole.
FBI just took 20 boxes of items that included some marked as top secret. Now,
yeah, they marked that. That's not true, though. Nobody believes that shit.
There's a huge battle going on whether Trump declassified the documents.
He did not. There's not a huge battle going on. He made a stupid assertion, and there has been no evidence, nor will there be, that while he was president, he declassified these things. And no, he can't just blanket declassify shit just by taking it upstairs. And therefore, that gives him the right to A, bring it to Mar-a-Lago, and B, show it to whoever. Because once you declassify it, why don't you just... Then I guess technically what Trump is arguing is that everything they took can be in the newspaper without any problem for any of the papers that want to show it.
First, take a listen to this.
We don't know if the TSSCI material was identified in the affidavit or simply discovered in the course of this search. President Trump had...
Right, and interesting edit.
...had the ultimate declassification authority, but that authority ended when he was no longer president.
I'd be interested to know...
Right.
...how they are going to prove that it's classified.
Well, one of the ways that they would do it is by showing that it's got classified written on it, and Trump not having any legal steps to declassify any of this shit.
I'm sure it was classified at one point, but, you know, we've never litigated this before. There's going to be a real question of fact here about, you know, whether President Trump declassified it or not when he still had the power to do that.
Yeah, you just have to take his word for it. He said it to Kash Patel. That's good enough for us. That's how our government, that's how you want your government to work. Any crime you committed, I made that not a crime while I was in office. I forgot to run it through Congress or go through the legal channels because I thought, you know, I'm a king, essentially. That's what we have. We have a monarchical presidency. That's how it should work. Anybody who likes America wants things to run that way.
So, Greg, I think the beef everybody has with this is there's a hierarchy here. It's not hypocrisy. It's a hierarchy for the left. You have the Hillary Clinton case where, remember when she said there was a C on the document, she played stupid, and she didn't know what it meant.
That's right.
Remember that? She go, I didn't know what the C, what did it mean? Did it mean Clearwater, Florida? Like she had no idea. And yet Trump, we get it rated.
Again, I'm not sure what he's referring to in that regard. She sat down for 3 hours. Hold on. This business. See if I can find it. July. This is yeah, here you go. FBI interviews Hillary Clinton over private email server. FBI interviewed Hillary Clinton on Saturday morning for its investigation into whether she or her aides broke the law by corresponding through a private email server set up for her use as Secretary of State, a controversy that has dogged her presidential campaign. The voluntary interview she sat down with, which took place over 3.5 hours at the FBI headquarters in Washington. There's your difference. During the server in question storyline and all that, she voluntarily sat down and spoke with the. And by the way, if you lie to an FBI agent, it's still a crime. You don't have to be under oath. You don't have to that's just, we know that now. If you didn't already know that, you sure as shit do now. She sat down for it's like Benghazi. She sat for 11 hours in one session. That wasn't the only session she did. She sat for 3.5 hours at FBI headquarters in Washington. And let's see, it could take weeks or longer to reach a decision, but news that Ms. Clinton, the Democratic Party's presumptive nominee, had been questioned in the J. Edgar Hoover building 3 weeks before our party's convention quickly reverberated. The RNC called it unprecedented. Donald Trump wasted a little time. It is impossible for the FBI not to recommend criminal charges against Hillary Clinton. What she did was wrong. She sat down and spoke under penalty of prison. Told the truth. Trump didn't. Trump breezed by when the National Archives people were there, and then his lawyers, who he put in charge of everything, signed a piece of paper that said they turned over all the national security documents, and they hadn't. It was a lie.
His house.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, the thing is, we should do a show just called "We Don't Know."
Uh-oh. Oh my God, he's on to something. Jesus Christ. That's what every episode should be called.
And just that way we don't have to keep that way.
What we're doing already?
Thank you for telegraphing my joke.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. No, but we have to start everything with we don't know. But what we do know is that, and this is a case where the double standard whataboutism works. The Hillary server was far more sensitive than this because it was real-time communication on a server in a bathroom from our Secretary of State.
On a server in a bathroom? You mean basement?
While she was communicating with Russia. And then somehow it ends up on Anthony Weiner's laptop, among other things, which then he used to surf the web for God knows what. That somehow just kind of slid on by. Then you got to think about Afghanistan.
Hold on. The idea, is he alleging the contents of the server or the conversations ended up on Anthony Weiner's laptop, which they fucking well did not?
I don't know enough. I don't know. But what about
Yeah, nobody ever breached the server. That was the thing.
all that stuff left behind in Afghanistan?
Wait a minute. All what stuff left behind?
I don't know enough. I don't know.
Fuck me.
But what about all that stuff left behind in Afghanistan? Was none of that, was some of that classified? We left it with our worst enemy, and that isn't Trump, Jessica. It's the Taliban. But
See, that's supposed to be a joke because of one of the other guests who's sitting in the Geraldo liberal seat. So Greg is asserting, by the way, just in case you're coming in late, that our soldiers and our commanders and I guess our contractors and our embassy personnel left behind top secret intel for the Taliban. That our soldiers in Afghanistan committed treason. Because obviously Biden wasn't there to personally direct them to do it. So I guess even though it's illegal for them to do it, they just chose to do it because they were in such a hurry to fuck off.
But the fact is, I mean, consider the tech and all those helicopters, right?
Consider the tech and all. You mean the helicopters that we shredded or that we threw thermite grenades into? What do you think? There's a copy of Hillary's server in every Apache? The fuck is this?
There were documents, there were computers. Maybe a lot of it was destroyed. Maybe some of it wasn't. There was like $7 billion worth of gear.
Excuse me, 7 billion?
That we
Excuse me, 85 billion?
do know that pullout, we do know this, was not conducted well.
Oh yeah, we do. Why? That's so true. Oh my God. We know one thing. I mean, we are out. We're not actually there. He wrote these down. Watch how often he checks the paper in front of him.
So I really don't know how much
How many times are you going to say I don't know in this?
classified material was lost then. So
None.
I think that in this
None. Fuck you. None. Stop accusing our soldiers, commanders, generals, and contractors on the ground of leaving behind classified documents for the fucking Taliban. None, you fucking tool. None. The fuck is the matter with you? What is that? You're not happy shitting on the FBI? You got to shit on soldiers too? Jesus Christ.
case, the whataboutism is thoroughly valid.
How? What do you know about this at all? What about what you don't fucking understand?
Because it's the context that makes this so laughable. The 12 boxes of what is related to something that might be nuclear. What does that mean?
Oh my God. Dude, try fucking harder.
Is it a note to Kim Jong-un saying, hey, had a great time?
Yeah.
You know?
Dana,
Gargling your balls. And he wrote, look at them fucking checking the paper again. Dude, this is Don Jr. territory. Holy shit. Okay, I gotta check. You think, like, he leans over every so often and he draws through something like, got that joke in. Got the picture with Kim Jong-un where what? Where Trump was gargling his balls?
when people say to me, that's whataboutism, I say, you're damn right it's whataboutism. I don't understand how that's an argument.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm making a case that the standards of so-called justice apply to one party and not another. And your argument is, yes, that's correct. Yeah. And you should.
No. We're saying you're trying to deflect from what he's doing by comparing it to other people. And those other people sat for volunteer interviews under oath, sat in front of congressional committees under oath for hours at a time. The entire story was explored. The FBI itself didn't bring charges against Hillary Clinton because there was no criminal intent shown there, nor was there any indication that anything of that level slipped out or got past anyone else, and that she was. The idea was that she didn't mishandle private or classified information. She was lackadaisical in her handling of it, and it could have gotten in the wind. It did not. But there was a chance there, and she deserves censure or she deserves condemnation for that. That is not the same thing as knowingly taking top secret SCIF documents and putting them in a storage room in the, I guess, we're not even saying the basement. At this point, anywhere on the property. At Mar-a-Lago, an event space that is rented out to strangers, where people can buy membership, where apparently the FBI, the DOJ got 60 days worth of security video from Mar-a-Lago and saw that people were going in and out of the room and went, we got to get this shit back.
Should just eat it? Like, no, I'm not going to eat it.
I always would try to imagine. Remember that I don't necessarily, the Hillary Clinton.
It's good so far. I'm with you.
Clinton comparison is a good one. I forgot about when she didn't know what the letter C meant. But the Sandy Berger one for me, you're in the middle of the 9/11 Commission. You have the National Security Advisor for the Clintons go to the archives, do some research, stuff some documents in his pants and his socks, walk out, and ends up with probation and a fine.
Yeah.
And it's how.
Hold on. Look at it. Okay. Sandy Berger, National Archives. Yeah, here it is. 2005. April 1st. Oops. Back up. Why is that? Let's shrink this down. Hold on. Former National Security Advisor Samuel Berger pleads guilty to knowingly removing classified information from the National Archives. D.C. Assistant Attorney, this is 2005. Assistant Attorney General Christopher Wray of the Criminal Division announced today that former National Security Advisor Samuel R. Berger has pleaded guilty to a charge of knowingly removing classified documents from the National Archives and Records Administration. Berger entered a guilty plea this morning at federal court in Washington, D.C. to one count of violating 18 U.S.C. 1924, a misdemeanor. As part of his plea agreement, Berger has agreed to cooperate with the government concerning his activities at the National Archives. According to the facts admitted during his guilty plea, Berger was reviewing classified documents at the National Archives in July, September, and October of 2003 in connection with requests for documents made by the National Commission investigating terrorist attacks on the United States, the 9/11 Commission. On September 2nd, 2003, and again on September 2nd, Berger concealed and removed a total of 5 copies of classified documents from the archive. 5 copies of classified documents. So the plural documents, 15 each, 3 documents copied 5 times. We'll see. Whatever. The documents were different versions of a single document. There you go. That's what it is. Berger, who possessed a United States government security clearance and was aware of the laws and rules regarding classified documents, knew he was not authorized to remove the classified documents from the archives. Berger took the documents to his office in D.C., where he destroyed 3 of the copies. Soon after the October visit, the archives discovered the documents were missing, and 2 days later contacted Berger. Initially, Berger did not tell the archive staff that he had taken the documents, but later that night told archive staff that he had accidentally misfiled 2 of them. The next day, he returned to archive staff the 2 remaining copies of the 5 documents he'd taken during September and October visits. Each of the 5 copies of the document was produced to the 9/11 Commission in due course. In his plea, Berger also admitted he concealed and removed his handwritten notes from the archives prior to classification review in violation of archives rules and procedures. These notes have been returned to the government. Berger faces a maximum sentence of up to 1 year in jail, which has now been increased to 5 years in jail because of Donald Trump, this same rule, and a $100,000 fine and a year of supervised release. According to the plea agreement, Berger has agreed to cooperate with the government and to surrender his security clearance. The case was investigated by special agents of the Washington Field Office of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, who caught him, and the National Archives. By the way, he was eventually... Where is it? Yeah, Sandy Berger was fined $50,000 and for taking the documents, and had to do 100 hours of community service. Can you imagine Trump getting 100 hours of community service, 1 hour of community service for every 5 documents in those fucking boxes?
I was never raided. Now, maybe because he was cooperating, I don't know.
Yes, because he was cooperating, that's why. And because he turned himself in and he pled guilty, and they didn't have to. And they knew the 5 documents.
The other thing I think is, I'm going to make 2 other points.
Yes, since that first one sucked so bad.
Let's say it is a nuclear document.
Let's just say it's a nuclear document. Who gives a shit, honestly?
First of all, well, let me make 2 points.
All right.
I had SCI clearance. You probably did too, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes,
So
SCI.
when you go to an SCI briefing, there's not like paperwork passed out. If there is, it's collected and everyone takes it back. I don't know how you would even have.
That's weird. It's almost like you'd have to, I don't know, after you lose the election, put a couple of sycophants like Christopher Miller and Kash Patel in the Defense Department and in other DNI offices and make them make you copies of shit. Make them participate in an active crime. Look, Dana Perino has dumb stumbled onto a huge slice of truth. You can't do this on accident, fucko. That's the point. Sandy Berger knew what he was doing. He smuggled the shit out in his fucking pants. Donald Trump knew what he was doing.
An SCI document to put in a box.
I don't even know how that would happen. It's almost like you'd have to do it on fucking purpose. Right. Yeah. Yeah, right. I'm cooperating. I'm going to go out. Who put that in there? Get her. I'm cooperating here. Well, you want me to do an inventory of the cars, and I'll do it. All right. Fucking
I
hell.
don't understand that.
Yeah, here, let me help you understand. You have to do it on purpose.
And also, if it is something to do with nuclear stuff, why would that be declassified? Like, what is?
Exactly. Then hey, dummy, I don't even know why they have the other person who's supposed to represent. Yes, exactly. Exactly, you stupid piece of shit. That's exactly right. Yes, you can't do it on accident. And why would you ever declassify anything related to ding, ding, ding. We have a winner. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Thank you for playing. Dana Perino, way to fuck the whole show. Yeah.
Is it the letter that says, hey, that was like great time. I hope you don't set off any more missiles.
Yeah, please don't send missiles.
That would be rude. Don't do that,
Yes.
little rocket.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's so funny. His Kim Jong-un relationship. It's hilarious. That's why I'm tucking my feet under the chair and my hands are cupped in the center like this because I don't know what. I know I'm so over my fucking head here.
Man, and if you don't do it, I'll stop calling you that.
Exactly.
Something like that. Like, okay, so I can understand declassifying that. That would be.
Oh my God. You know, the two of them high-fived after this. Like that moment between us when you were helping me salvage my joke, which you fucked, but I didn't really do well on. That was so sweet. And there was so much like personality.
Be fine, but if it's something else, and here's the other thing. We
Oh no. Just stop talking. You're not helping.
may never know. The last
We may never know. What's the third thing we may never know?
point I will make is the Presidential Records Act came in after Watergate.
Uh-huh.
Then we have this invention called email and the internet.
That's right.
And whereas you used to have maybe tens of thousands of documents, you now have tens of millions of documents. Yeah. It's all the emails. It's everything that you ever did while you were there. All your text messages, now those are presidential documents. And what Andy was saying is that we've never litigated this. If a president declassifies something on nuclear weapons or capabilities,
He can't.
or resources or locations, he can do that.
No, he can't. Also, if he does try, he has to tell someone. He can't just go, I'm magically in my head. Everything I read was being declassified because I view myself as an open book.
But also there's a process that it's never been tested in courts. Does the CIA director get a say? Do our allies get a say? Anything like that?
Yes, they do. As a matter of fact, in the executive order that Obama signed dealing with classified documents that Trump reinforced and increased penalties for, specifically, there's a shit ton of stuff that if any of this stuff is located in or involves other countries that are allies, we let them know before we declassify stuff so they don't become a fucking target.
None of that has been tested yet.
Which is why we shouldn't have jumped the gun. But Jess,
Jumped what gun, fucko? What do you mean, jump the gun? Because the ability for the president to magically, the idea that he might have magically declassified things before he'd ever declared that he had, like literally, there was no talk ever of him just grossly declassifying things until after he was busted for this shit. But Bongholio is asserting that we should just leave it up to Trump. Let's just assume that he magically made himself incapable of criming on everything. So no matter what he does, if he did shoot someone in the middle of Fifth Avenue, don't even arrest him, because let's just operate on the assumption that he made murder by political hierarchy, like not only the president, but any top candidate can now kill someone, and he just made that a magic law in his fucking head.
The whataboutism argument. Yes, that's correct. It's absolutely whataboutism. What I don't understand is how people on the left, Democrats and liberals, don't see it through our eyes. Like, I can see your argument. You don't like that Trump may have taken classified documents. Fine. There's a process for that. I get it.
You do? So why are you sitting by while the panel you're on is making it okay to endanger the lives of FBI agents as a former Secret Service person?
How do you not see that Hillary Clinton literally didn't even have an email with the State Department?
Yes, she did.
Unquestionably emailing classified material. Nothing has happened to her at all or anyone else.
They had an entire investigation. She participated in it. She didn't stonewall them about it. She sat down for 2.5 or 3 hours with them. Trump, they showed up with a subpoena in June, and he said, yeah, get them whatever they want. And then they lied about getting them stuff. They literally, a lawyer gave them a piece of paper that said, we've given you all the secret documents that we have. And the National Archives has a fucking list of stuff that was checked out or where it was, and it's still missing. And the only place it could have gone is in those fucking boxes. So they sent somebody to get it.
You don't see how we'd be a little annoyed that this...
I don't give a fuck if you're a little annoyed, asshole. Yeah, it's stunning to me that you think being a little annoyed at what you think is a double standard somehow, no pun intended, trumps the idea of nuclear secrets or the fucking knock list, or, you know, where our allies have, you know, agents of their own, or any number of things, where our military bases, where our submarines fucking park, any of that shit is in the wind and kept in a storage room at a country club that anybody can fucking rent for a wedding.
This is now a major deal worthy of a raid. It's like, you don't get that?
Yes, it is.
I get it. I've spent plenty of time with people who share your worldview, and I'm pretty seasoned in it at this point, and I'm good at saying, it's not going to be like this, it's going to be like this. And that's important, and we should all spend more time talking to people who don't share our own worldview. But I did miss the part of American history where Hillary Clinton was president of the United States of America after she had, you know, sent classified information on a private server and went on to, you know, a beautiful 4-year term and whatever else. She lost the election because of an FBI investigation. 11 days before a presidential election, Jim Comey, as the head of the FBI, came out and said that they had reopened a years-long investigation because there was new information that ended up being a dud. And then he had to come out and he had to say that. And then he's had to eat, you know what, for the last 6 years, because everybody hates him because he did that, because he violated protocol, coming out and commenting on an ongoing FBI.
Look at Gutfeld nodding during this
investigation.
Or is he just Rain Manning? I can't tell.
By the way, Christopher Wray, a Trump appointee, and Merrick Garland both did not do until their hands were forced by Donald Trump, who was the one who said, hey, Mar-a-Lago was raided this morning. I want to talk about it. I want to talk about it. Hillary Clinton has been investigated by the FBI, by the Senate, Republican-run Senate committee, who both found that her server was never hacked by a foreign entity. And the FBI, don't go,
I actually have a source on that. So
okay, I have a source,
I have an
every
actual
Senate
source.
Republican
I have an actual
who
source
would
who saw
have
the server.
loved. Then
I have a, wait, he's like, I have a source that saw the server. What do you mean, the little silver box?
Why did Senate Republicans, who I would say
the Mac Mini?
on the list of things that they hate, have Hillary Clinton like way up high, not have said that out loud if that's what they found. So I get it. And when it happened, I said that she absolutely should not have been not doing things by the book on this, but they are not comparable. And for you to act like she won in any of this, she did not win. She lost the biggest election there is. And
I don't remember the search warrant at Hillary's house, so I missed that part.
Maybe because she didn't refuse to comply.
Yeah, I gotta go to
the
Dagan.
Department of Justice.
Look, he's like, I got to go to her because you're bugging me, and she's absolutely right. She didn't refuse to comply. She actually did a one-on-one interview.
Justice treated Hillary Clinton with not just kid gloves. They coddled her like a baby.
They coddled her like a baby. She went over there, and for 3 hours, they bottle fed her. They changed her nappy.
And they interviewed her with her attorneys, President, who were co-conspirators long after the original Comey statement. And her answers were so ridiculous. She should have been charged with making false statements. And a reminder, Martha Stewart went to prison for 5 months for doing that very thing. There's only one.
All right. I again, gibberish. After the Comey statement, Hillary spoke to them. When is this? This was July. This is before the Comey statement.
One thing that matters in this: what you got? Give it to me.
Yeah.
It better be big, supersized, like Jupiter-sized information for you to crush a standard that stood in this.
Yeah, it might be, an assumption that almost anyone who's sane would make, that knowing how violent maggots are and how gullible, ma'am, folks like you are, that they really would have to be afraid that that it's an enormous thing to have out, a secret that's in the wind like that. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they would just do it to get Kim Jong-un's letters back, or fucking like Jesse Waters said, the golf ball. By the way, apparently whoever sits, the person to the left, just to the left of dead center, she's in the Janine seat. So this is the angry wine drunk seat. There's the liberal, and then dead center where Bongholio is where Jesse Waters is, which is the, do nothing but full on defend Trump with everything you have. And then I don't know what the fuck Dana Perino is doing.
This country for more than 2 centuries, more than 230 years.
Yeah,
and Jess, I understand that the left, that Democrats don't like Trump, but I don't understand how you aren't more upset about an FBI run by Chris Wray and a Justice Department run by Merrick Garland that defrauded and deceived all American people.
What? Defrauded and deceived all American people. Christopher Wray, Merrick Garland, defrauding and deceiving all American. Why does she talk like a share note all the time? If I could turn back time.
With the Russia collusion fraud, the dossier.
Again, this is a list, by the way, that Trump puts out. How the fuck does a dossier have anything to do with Merrick Garland's DOJ or Chris Wray? The fuck are you talking about? Like, Jesse Waters, literally in the other clip from the 5 that we watched, did this whole thing like they planted the dossier on him. This was and I don't even know what the fuck that's supposed to mean. It was Oppo Research shitting on the man for his business and political connections as he was running for office and in the years prior. And the fact that he's fucking gross. The fact that who gives a shit about the dossier in terms of his readiness and fitness for office when you know full well both of his sons have said, we've got tons of projects in China, we get all the money we need from Russia, and him going, you can just grab women by the pussy. There was a day in this country where that would have been enough for the Republican Party to tell him to go fucking pound sand.
Lying repeatedly to spy on an American citizen. When the FISA court itself, the chief judge called out the FBI's malfeasance that the Horowitz, the inspector general at the Justice Department, called out the FBI's malfeasance. All
the malfeasance.
Merrick Garland, you know what? Put up or shut up. You know, if you found some top secret stuff, post it on the internet so we can look at it. The fuck are you talking about, dummy? No. As a matter of fact, the problem, and this is a problem that the Justice Department and the DOD and the Pentagon and fucking CIA and everybody in the administration has, is that the more serious this shit is, the less they can talk about it. And Trump's counting on it. Literally, the Trump system seems to be steal secrets so big they can't even talk about them, and you're scot-free. Oh. Found something, charge the president. Now
that I'm fine with. You can do that.
Could pull a Jim Comey. He doesn't have the authority to do it, but technically he does have the power to do it. When in evidence seized,
he doesn't have the authority, but he does have the power. The fuck are you talking about?
It remains sealed until it's introduced as part of a criminal proceeding. But he could step up and say, "This is what we got. This is what we got on Trump." That's all that matters in all of this, and they won't do it
because it's top secret. What the fuck? Yes, they're not going to announce to the fucking world the kind of stuff that Trump had at Mar-a-Lago, which he shouldn't have had in the first place. What are you talking about? Again, this is the standard. Like if you're gonna, it's about the brazen criminality that they're okay with. Like that's the secret. Just if you're going to crime so big that it will fuck up everything if they go after you.
Because again, they're looking for January 6th.
Let me just say it.
Yeah. They're what? Jesus Christ.
And they won't do it because again, they're looking for January 6th.
Let me just say it.
Yeah. They're looking for January 6th. Fucking hell. Hal, doesn't Trump business have a big note due to China soon? Yes. Well, they had a Deutsche Bank loan that was due in the 200s. $200 million or something, which he does not have.
In closing, saying Hillary Clinton complied when they literally smashed Blackberries with hammers is really like left.
By the way, what you're supposed to do when you leave the State Department.
So I just want to throw that in there. Hammers, they smashed them. They smashed them with hammers. That's not complying. I'm pretty sure that's not part of the problem.
Well, again, if they're private, the government, through a subpoena, can access all the information on them. Because it still exists. If it's stuff that was available, I guess, and not supposed to be passed through there, it's not just in the fucking phone magically.
Process. Up next, the FBI's Trump warrant's out, but where's Joe Biden?
Yeah, he's on vacation, enjoying himself.
The president's silent and on vacation. It's very nice.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian.
Hi, everybody. I'm Brian Kilmeade. Steve Ducey put his nuts on my forehead this week, and it still burns like holy water.